Good morning and welcome, or good afternoon, wherever you are. We are at the regional headquarters of the University of the West Indies, right here on Mona Road in Kingston. My name is George Davis, and we're here for a very, very important event. Education and learning at whatever level. The lifeblood of a nation, the lifeblood of a society, and the lifeblood of a people. And we are here for a very good cause. The American Foundation for the University of the West Indies has gathered some real big hitters here to ask and invite donations to assist at-risk students at the University of the West Indies as they play their part in making the Caribbean and individual nations therein and the world a much better place. I am pleased to be sharing the platform for this opening segment with the fabulous Angela Yee. She is a media personality. I like to refer to her as one of New York and the USA's finest. She's also an entrepreneur. And the outstanding Richie Stevens, a man who is an international reggae star and has been responsible for some of the most outstanding music that has helped Jamaican reggae and dancehall to be the favored thing it is with many across the world. And I'm going right to them now for Kitchen Table Talk 2021, the second annual Kitchen Table Talk, as we gather here for a worthy cause. Again, AFUWI, the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies, they have made this possible. And at the end, we'll hear from some of those who have benefited from those good folks, making the call for more people to come on board and support. Richie, I know you won't mind if I give Angela first crack. Angela, just tell us why it is that you have devoted your time and energies to this event, this cause.
Well, education has always been really important to me, and I've been fortunate enough myself to get financial aid and to get opportunities when I was younger, and so I just want to make sure that we pay that forward. I know there's so many talented students from the West Indies who financially might just need some help, and so there's no reason they shouldn't have the same access to higher education as everybody else. And I've seen the work that the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies has already done. I get to actually see the students who get the scholarships and how much it's benefited them. You know, I've given scholarships myself, and it's nothing more amazing than when you see somebody graduate with honors or somebody who is on the path to graduating, and you feel like you could help play a part in that.
Absolutely wonderful. And of course, Angela, a member of the Board of Governors of the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies. Richie Stevens, you have been very successful in your music career, and you have extended the proceeds of that success to youngsters in your community in Russia, in Westmoreland. AFUWI is now getting the benefit of your expertise and your philanthropic commitment. Why?
Well, first of all, education is the foundation of any nation. And I'm here today feeling so proud. What a blessing it is to be here, especially amongst beautiful people like Miss Angela. Yes. And so many coming on later. When it comes to encouraging youngsters, I waste no time. I see it as an opportunity for me to get a chance to tell my story and hopefully to uplift them further. Because in this great life, a lot of us coming from humble beginnings, and whether you make it to tertiary level or not, you know, the support is of paramount importance. So when I was contacted by AFUWI Foundation, I quickly partnered with them because I just know I'm coming to help a worthwhile venture. Hence why I'm here today.
Excellent, excellent. And of course, Mama Carmen will be proud of what Richie is doing with his time and his resources. All right, to get the ball rolling further, we're going to turn now to hear the words of a gentleman, no ordinary gentleman. He's the Most Honorable Percival James Patterson, the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, who has blessed this effort, this cause by AFUWI with his vision. And he has this to say about this year's event and the cause in general.
My fellow alumni and friends of the UWI, this is a time when the COVID-19 pandemic has spurred massive shifts in how the world responds to the less fortunate. Today, the Global Giving Program of the University of the West Indies gives us a time for reflection both on the impacts within the broader society, as well as the more intimate ways the pandemic has changed how we learn, work, and live, and how we relate to each other. No doubt about it, the world has changed, and there are experiences that will live on in our history books, in our minds, and in our hearts. We will remember that everyday impacts of the pandemic, our personal experiences, and many of our friends, relatives, and acquaintances have had conditions change all around. The pandemic has made worse the challenge of many of the students at the UWI, but we can all help alleviate some of the pain, frustration, and despair they feel by our positive responses to the ongoing crisis. The UWI Global Giving Program, of which I am a proud patron, is designed to pool our collective resources for the benefit of our students who are most at risk. We have an obligation to give back for the benefits we have received by passing through the gates of this university. If we work together, we can ensure that our young students have a bright future. And so I want to use this opportunity of speaking with my fellow alumni, friends of the UWI, our sponsors and benefactors, to everyone listening today to this kitchen table talk. Let us give as much as we can. Our students are facing financial hardships, and they need our support at this time. Thank you, and have a very pleasant day.
Percival James Patterson there, Jamaica's, a former Prime Minister of Jamaica and Queen's Counsel, eminent attorney and a man who has done much for the country in terms of development and providing educational opportunities for youngsters right throughout the length and breadth of the island. So we're going to have a discussion now with Angela and Richie. And Angela, what is true is that, as Mr. Patterson said, these are very difficult times for many families and many students. Under normal circumstances, it would have been tough for many to pay their way through university. With people having lost jobs by virtue of the pandemic, that task has become even more onerous, which is why those of us with influence, those of you with good contacts around the world, need to leverage those good contacts so you can get some funding assistance to those students who could fall by the wayside.
Right, I agree. And what I love about AFUWI is they not only contribute money and scholarships, but also things like iPads and laptops that students need. I just remember being in college and not having a laptop and how difficult that was for me. And so just things like that mean a lot. And then on top of the pandemic, you have natural disasters, you have hurricanes, you have volcanoes. And so there's a lot of stress on families. So imagine you want to finish going to school, but you also know that your family, maybe right now, those finances are going to rebuilding your home or having to relocate, or having family that's in the hospital, or being in the hospital and not having an iPad to be able to communicate. And so I think those things are really important, and AFUWI also provides money for that.
Yeah, Richie, it is never a bad time to give, but perhaps no more than ever is a more the circumstances are more compelling for us to give because so many people are facing difficulties.
That is true. The future of our young people is very, very important because this determines where we end up as a country, as a people, and as a nation. Now, one of the reasons why I'm happy to be here in person is even when you assist financially, it is still very important to talk to these kids personally and encourage them to keep on moving on, encourage them to keep their heads above water, because I remember my life and how I grew up. I was a very promising student, and due to financial constraint, even there weren't no pandemic. My dream was never realized as it relates to academics. However, I was saved by music, and latter part of the year, I started doing my own studies and tried to better myself. And I was encouraged by a lot of people, and those encouragements was very, very important to me, because young people will not experience certain things until they live through the years. So that is why it's important for people like us to sit and talk to them. So I'm really looking forward today to hear the testimony of some of the students that's benefited from the AFUWI Foundation. And hopefully we'll have a talk with them and to let them know how we feel about being here to support them.
And what is true, Angela, is that it's not just about assisting people who are trying to achieve higher education, tertiary education. It is also important for those with the resources and those with the means to assist people at whatever level they are in the education system, because we don't all have to have a degree to be successful, although it really, really helps. But it's all about donating to educate at every level.
Right, and listen, and I agree with that. You don't have to go to college in order to be successful, but we should have access to be able to, if that is what your choice is. And so if you just have that opportunity, there's students that are so much more, people who could be potentially students, but like Richie said, financial constraints might not make that possible. You should have that option to be able to do that. And also, I think about when you graduate and you have student loans you have to pay back, how that can be really stressful for you financially. I know students who may not be as smart as some of the UWI students that are getting these scholarships, and they have a lot of access. They have families that have money. They have people they can call and say, okay, get my child a job at this place. And so I think it's just really important for everyone who is super talented and has that potential to be able to realize that full potential.
Yeah, and just before we go to one of the beneficiaries, Richie, that you and everybody else is so keen to hear from, the fact is that when we look in Western Jamaica especially, and the fallout in tourism caused by the COVID pandemic, and of course visitors not being able to come, and the number of households in Westmoreland, in other parts of Western Jamaica, that have lost a breadwinner, and those households still had children in there who were pursuing tertiary education, then the situation is even more graphic.
Yes, I'm a Westmoreland. I was born and raised in a little community called Russia in Savlamar, Westmoreland. And you're talking my story, because I grew up very poor, but very proud. Because in my community, we had to try and be the best that we can be to get noticed by the rest of the people in that parish. I'm here to share philosophies. Certain philosophies like, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yes.
Because true success comes when opportunity meets preparation. Preparation meets opportunity. So in this pandemic, and as hard as it gets, we have to just learn some lessons from it. Give thanks for life. Don't concentrate too much on the past or the present. Live in the moment. Keep your head up. And just let's move forward and know that when this is all over, we're still here.
Yep. Words to live by indeed. All right. An outstanding lady is online now, waiting to join the conversation. She's Dr. Tamika Vifus. She is a beneficiary of the AFUWI scholarship program. She is Guyanese by birth. She grew up in St. Kitts and Nevis. She's now working in Jamaica at the Mandeville Regional Hospital. So you know that she is a Caribbean woman through and through. Dr. Vifus, welcome to the conversation. Are you hearing us clearly?
Good morning. Yes, I am.
All right. Tell us about your experience in school before the assistance from AFUWI came. Tell us, how were you managing?
Well, from the onset of my first year, my first semester, I started to experience a lot of financial constraints, and it actually affected my studies in terms of I can focus, because they say I'm just focusing on how I'm going to make it through to the next day. Like how am I going to pay forward? How am I going to afford to get like basic things such as meals and being able to pay my tuition? It was like you have the stress of academia as well as you have the stress of just trying to survive, basically. And it was a lot. It was a lot, honestly. And I remember the day that I just broke down in the bathroom. Someone saw me and they spoke to me, and they recommended me speaking to Miss Beverly Hunter. He's a great, I should say, excellent, basically representative of the AFUWI organization. And from since then, my school, my academic living, it has improved. I can say greatly. It was so much. It was a lot.
Tell me, Dr. Vifus, in those difficult days, and there were so many of them from what you've said, yes, you said you broke down. What is it that kept you going? What is it that kept you, not giving up, not throwing in the towel and leaving and finding employment?
Honestly, I have dreamt of being a doctor ever since I was a young girl. And, my father, he always told me, education is the key to success. Education can set you free. Like, my father was big at education. So, I came into UWI with the goal of becoming a doctor, and I didn't want anything to come into it. So I was just going forward with that I am going to be a doctor. I'm going to make it some way, somehow. I will not give up.
Yeah.
This is my dream. I will get it.
And what of your family and close friends during your time of struggles? How did they feel knowing that you were on this very important mission and yet they couldn't assist you in the way that you needed the assistance?
It was really hard for them. They tried the best in any way that they could, and they were great in terms of emotional support, and that's a big deal in college. I find you don't have a lot of emotional support, a lot of things that you experience is 10 times worse. So they may not have been there for me in the way that they could be financially, but they were there for me in terms of mental support, and that helped to carry me through as well.
Angela, that must strike a chord with you insofar as here you have family and friends looking at a bright child or family member striving for excellence and being almost powerless to assist. That must be damaging to an individual.
Right, I can't even just imagine what that must be like. But then I think about her story and actually getting the scholarship and seeing her success and knowing that her family was encouraging her and her friends were encouraging her, and see that come to fruition. I love a success story like that.
Yeah, Richie, you spoke about your own academic journey and how your dreams were interrupted by the fact that you just didn't have the finances and you had to turn to something else. Here's Dr. Vifus saying that, boy, even as the night got darker, she still was fixated on achieving and pursuing that dream of becoming a doctor.
I'm sitting here and I just feel so touched by what she said when she said that she know people in her family wanted to help but couldn't help financially, but help her mentally and emotionally and all that. And that is very, very important. There are lots of families that never had anyone that graduated before. So I am saying to them, and she did say it in her own words, that to gather around that person and to support them in whatever way you can is very, very important. I am also remembering that I used to train down at the UWI Bowl, and I got involved with a track and field club with my good friend Lloyd Clark, just to create a track and field club to help some athletes who might not be at that level to go in the elite track and field clubs.
Yes.
And while I was there, I learned so much about the struggles of these students going to school. And this is way before the pandemic. So the struggle is real within the tertiary level. In all levels, but especially at the tertiary level where the families sometimes just can't afford it and they go down and pray and hope that the father will work a miracle to bring their child through. But I'm rephrasing what the young lady said. To support in whichever way you can, especially that emotional and spiritual support and mental support is a Very, very important thing.
And imagine going to classes and having to do all that work, and on top of that, having to have a job.
Yes.
Because that's already hours and hours of studying, and so you want to make sure you don't fall behind. But some people had to work also in order to be able to afford basic things.
Yes. Dr. Pfeiffer, that's where I want to go based. I'll pick up from Angela's point. During the struggles, how were your grades holding up? How was your overall performance as a student holding up? And could anybody tell from your performance in the classroom that you were having struggles staying in the program?
Well, in my first semester, wasn't able to see my grades because of my financial situation. However, at the first year, after I got my scholarship, my grades were, I would say, great. I got, I think my GPA was about 3.3 after my first semester. I did have some situations, years where my grades weren't the best. And I remember going to a representative from the foundation, saying to them, I was like, my grade is not the best right now. And they were so understanding. And then they would just encourage me and was like, you have to keep your grades up. You need to get your grades up for the next semester. And after that, for them giving me a chance, I remember I fell down to a GPA of probably 2.9. Because I had a lot of things going on, really bad. And then after that talk and getting the encouragement from the foundation, I was able to bring up my GPA to about 3.4, and it has never went down from that.
Yeah, I want you to talk to us about what I'm going to call the process of relief. So you had the struggles, and then you got into a situation where you were going to get a scholarship. Did your relief start at the point when you realized that you were going to get the scholarship, or did relief set in at the moment you got the scholarship?
It all settles in when you get the scholarship, because you apply. And the thing is, we apply for a lot. And scholarships are not guaranteed because it's not a lot of them really available. So you have the hope there, you're still pushing, but the relief doesn't truly come until you see that email that says, congratulations, you have been awarded, and you can just lift up your hands and say, praise the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. Angela, it's almost like people who have an ingrown toenail, and you've gone to the nail technician to have it removed. You know that at some point relief is going to come. The difficulty is when you have that pain, you don't know of a nail technician, you have no money to go to anybody to give you relief, so you don't know when the relief is coming. That must be the most difficult thing for a struggling student, not knowing if deliverance or relief is on the other side.
Right, when you're in the midst of a situation, it's so hard to see yourself out of it, right? When you're having the pain, it's also like a breakup. When you're going through a really bad breakup.
You can say that again.
I'm sure everybody can relate to that. And you're like, this is the worst feeling ever. When is this heartbreak going to stop? And you can't even see yourself on the other side and happy. And so I understand that's a really difficult thing. You feel like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to make it. And then, relief comes. And then it's a day-by-day process of you finally feeling like, and sometimes that burden is really hard to get rid of. I know for a lot of us, when we've grown up a certain way, like for myself, no matter how successful I am, I always am nervous that it could go away at any time. So that's just something I think we live with, a lot of us, forever.
Yeah. And Richie, just as you sought to bolster the point she made about the moral support that her family gave her. The fact is, this is why it's important to provide moral support, Richie, because you want to keep the person in a frame of mind staying ready, as you said, so that if and when deliverance comes, they're in a position to accept that deliverance.
That is so important, Virgin, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You just have to understand that, especially let your humble beginning be a powerhouse behind you. Just know that, hey, one day I'm going to have to make it. I'm going to have to make it. That is the mindset. no matter what it is. The struggle is real, as we all know, but you're going to have to be a serious fighter to get over that struggle. So I encourage all young people. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so happy to be here, and why Angela is so happy to be here, and you and all the people coming, because we're hoping that at the end of the day we'll all smile and say, hey, we've done something great, because a lot of the people out there, the public, yes, you watching at home, will be supporting these kids. Save them,
so.
yes.
And for real, and if you think about it, like, we're so much more resilient when we've gone through so much to get to where we get to. Dr. Vipers is probably going to be like the most successful, like when it comes to comparing yourself to somebody that didn't have to go through all of that and come through the other side. It really does build up so much more in you once you get there.
Yep, building resilience. You are tougher for going through difficulties. It is sometimes a rite of passage in life. All right, let's hear from another recipient of the AFUWI Foundation's efforts to bring scholarship assistance to at-risk students. Let's take this other one now.
My name is Nemishe Jones, and I was awarded the TCW scholarship from AFUWI. I currently pursue a Bachelor of Science in Economics and Banking and Finance at the UWI Mona campus. My father is retired, so he's not earning much right now. And my mother, she lost her job earlier on in the pandemic. And when she did find a job eventually, she was reduced to part-time. So we've been struggling financially. And the scholarship really helped to relieve the burden of my education for my parents and for me in the future, and I have to repay it. I didn't really expect it. And I applied for another scholarship actually, and they called me and said I didn't get that scholarship. But later on they called me and said, oh, we have a scholarship for you, the TCW scholarship from AFUWI. And I was excited because it wasn't expected. I was in my room in school, in online classes, I think it was after class, and they called me and they said I got it, and I was excited. I told my sister first, then my mother got home and I told her and my father. Well, during the pandemic, we have to adapt to a new learning environment, a new type of learning, and it was like a pivot for everybody. I have to build my desk, I have my desk in my room, and I just go to school in my room and separate it from family life. And so when I need to go outside of the school area, I can just go into the living room or something. I'd like to see my friends and the lecturers face to face, because some of the lecturers don't know our faces, we don't know their faces. So I'd like that part of offline learning. In the future, I'd like to encourage entrepreneurship in Jamaica and create a business that's viable not only in the country or the region, but also in the world market. Well, the pandemic has affected a lot of students in very terrible ways. And I'm encouraging the donors to donate to the scholarship program because it eases the burden on these students so they don't have to worry about the pressures of paying back their school fees. They'd be able to focus on their education. And when it will inspire them, like it inspired me to focus more on my education and give back in the future so that even more people can achieve their educational goals. Thank you, AFUWI, and thank you to whoever has donated or will donate in the future, because you're the reason I'm here and the reason that many other people will be here in the future. There's no more worrying about financing the education or exams or everything, because I have the scholarship now to take away that burden.
The burden removed like a tumor by the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies, and the very kind of donations, the very kind people rather who've made donations over time. Nemishe Jones there telling her story about her benefiting from the foundation and what that means for her life in scholarship and her life beyond formal schooling. Richie has gone to warm up the vocals for a performance later. Sitting in his seat is a young man who is extraordinary by any measure. His name is Joel Dunn. And Joel, it is needful for you to tell the viewers your story in education first before we talk about your professional life now.
Okay, pleasant afternoon to all of the viewers. Well, I'm a recipient of the Wayne and Simone Hewitt Scholarship. And what that has done for me was it gave me the opportunity to not just only pursue my goal of becoming an engineer or a college graduate because my parents didn't get the opportunity. But what it has done for me as well, it has kept me motivated, because one of the criteria to maintain that scholarship was actually to maintain a GPA of over 3.3. And I had an additional scholarship as well, which I had to maintain a GPA of 3.6. Pursuing a career in engineering, that's not an easy task, but I know, guess what, have to maintain my scholarships. So what that have done for me is it had led me to graduate with the only first-class honors degree issued in 2016 in electronics engineering.
Wow.
Okay.
4 consecutive Honor Society awards, the Dean List. All those awards, you name it, my mom have it at home on her dresser.
Yes, that's evidence, that's reward for her contribution. Just to clarify, Joel, are you the first in your family to go to university?
Correct.
So you've set a very, very high bar for anybody who's to follow.
Most definitely. And what my goal is as well is to actually just keep on motivating young persons that have a dream to go out there, because recently it was published in the newspaper that I was the first and the youngest chief engineer in the brand of Sandals.
Yes.
And that I had a goal to achieve that within 5 years.
Yes.
And I did it in 4.
Yes.
And that's just out of this world for me, and to keep on motivating young individuals who have a dream.
Yeah. Angela, he has given me material for this point that I'm going to make now, because here's the thing. We often in society envy people for things they have, not realizing that, well, they were always destined to have those things because of the start they had. In other words,
right.
Joel says he's the first in his family to go to university. So you'll have a man or a woman who is the first in their family to go to university, and looking at somebody else and saying, I wish I had all those things that person had, not knowing that that person is perhaps the 4th person in their
right.
family over generations to go to university. And so there's generational wealth which could have allowed this other person to self-actualize and achieve these things. That's why, from Joel's perspective, you can use it as motivation. I'm sure you'll agree, Angela, that this is how you build generational wealth. Get through the door, break down the barrier of first in family to get to the university. Now, Joel's children and his grandchildren will have something to follow, something to aim at, and it can't be that they're starting from 0, because he's already gone beyond 0.
Right, and what I think is amazing is I can't even imagine what your family felt like once you graduated. What was that like?
Well, unfortunately, my father wasn't here for that. At the time of when I received the Wayne and Simone Hewitt scholarship, he was actually in the hospital. So that had almost deterred me from pursuing that dream of becoming an engineer. So I sent out a lot of scholarship applications. I got interviewed for 3, and I got all 3. However, my father passed in the 3rd semester, my final semester at the university, and I almost sat out that year. However, my mom had a conversation with my mom, and she said, no, you wouldn't have wanted that. You need to go ahead and complete your studies. So I started in the middle of the term. And then I went to graduate with A+ and A's.
Yeah.
For that semester. So
that's like in honor of your father too.
Yeah, yes, it is. And
Tribute.
to answer your question, Angela, my mom, I think she's the happiest woman in the world right now.
Yeah. In terms of your professional pursuits now, Joel, you said you set a 5-year plan to become the most senior engineer. You're part of Sandals Resource International, correct?
Correct.
Right. So you set out a plan. Why 4 years? Why 5 years? Why not 10? What convinced you that you had what it took to get there so relatively quickly at so young an age?
Because for me, I just like to look at things, and I like to plan before. So for me, going to the university, I already know that I want to graduate with a first-class honors degree. So it's up to me now to have the discipline to actually do what it takes to graduate with a first-class honors degree. So going into Sandals, it was never done that I joined the company as a management trainee. However, no one have ever made it from a management trainee to a chief engineer position. And I told myself, well, actually, in the orientation, I told them that I would be the first.
Yes.
And I had a goal to do it within 5 years, and I just worked hard and kept on pushing, and I did it in 4.
That is a prime example of the resilience that we were talking about earlier, just having to maintain that GPA to be able to keep your scholarships, and then everything that you set out to do, just going above and beyond. Do you think that without the experience of having to maintain that GPA and having to overcome all of this, that you would be in the position that you are now, or have like that type of resilience that you have?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely, my circumstances have molded me into that individual I know. I'm definitely a firm believer that you can be whatever you set out to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Once you have the discipline.
It's like what you said, George, just about what people have had to go through.
Yes.
And to get to where, and some people just get things handed to them and they don't work as hard. And so they won't be as successful because they've just had this extra start that you might not have had, but because you've had to do so much and overcome so much, I think that just puts you on a higher level.
Yeah, I see, Angela, you'll know the song very well. I forget which summer it was, but it is the summer of Jay-Z and Nas Takeover and Ether. Yeah?
Yes, I remember that.
I should ask you off camera which you thought was the better song. I have my idea. But I say Takeover because here's Joel going into management training and making a declaration that he was going to do something that nobody had done before. They must have thought, this little upstart, what does he know about success? What does he know about self-actualizing? What does he know about getting to the top from this low position? But the man spoke it, and then he worked it into being. And that's the message we want to send to young people, Angela, that success won't happen overnight. You won't wake up and be a successful entrepreneur or a successful engineer or a successful radio host. You have to set those plans. You have to set those targets.
And make a lot of sacrifices. What type of sacrifices did you have to make?
Well, I had to make a lot of sacrifices. Had to stop participating in a lot of stuff. I've had to ensure that I actually went over and beyond what the average person would actually do. So I'll be up late at night, I'll be up early in the morning, planning my days, planning my weeks sometime, which I still do even now, so.
Good habits.
Definitely. And George, on that same note, what advice would you give to young students that are now in the University of the West Indies?
Yeah, well, I'd say, look, you have to, a wise man once said, identify the things you don't do well and don't do those things. Yeah? Yeah? You have to have a sense of purpose, just like you did, just like Angela has in her media career. You have to identify, okay, what is it that I am going to pursue? And then you have to streamline your lifestyle, as you did, cutting out certain things, so that you can make sure that you achieve those goals. And you always, look, people say don't compare yourself to people. I don't believe in that because you can compare and contrast. You can look at what other people have done. Angela Yee has progressed this rapidly in media. It means I can progress this rapidly in my field. Joel Dunn has progressed this rapidly in engineering. It means if I work hard and copy elements of how they have reached success, both Angela and Joel, I too can progress rapidly in the field of medicine. It's all about goal setting, but you have to be very smart. You have to know what it is that you do well and focus on those things. And the things that you don't do well, leave them alone. That's as simple as that for me. Okay?
Correct.
It's an approach that we can all share. But Joel, just one more on your career before we transition from this segment. In terms of those who work with you in the Sandals Resort chain, you know, how have they taken to you and the success that you've had? I know, Angela, that when youngsters come into organizations, some people who are there for a long time, there's almost a built-in resentment. Like,
right.
How is it that you've come so young and reached so far so quickly? Yeah?
I've seen that a lot, people not wanting to have people know how young they are because people don't trust it or they feel like you don't have the knowledge and the experience because of your age.
How have you handled that?
Okay, so for me, I actually welcome that, no, honestly, because I believe I should actually prove myself to them, and I actually enjoy participating in that. So I've been leading our team members that could be my father, really and truly, and I just have to manage it in a way where I actually gain their trust so they can actually start to listen to my advice and also to keep them motivated. And I'm very big on motivation. I traveled 2.5 hours from Montego Bay to be here today.
Yes.
Just to tell everyone that's listening that no matter what you're going through, just keep working hard.
Yes.
It's always better to be exhausted from hard work than rested from failure. So we just have to keep on treading that route and keep pushing out and aim to be successful.
Shameless plug segment, even though we aren't at the pledge stage yet, but I'm going to ask Joel directly. You're a brilliant man, and there were other scholarships available, but it's perhaps fair to say that things would have been infinitely more harder if the AFUWI offer wasn't on the table to assist you through those times.
Most definitely, most definitely. Actually, during the interview, like I said, I was actually about to go out of school because I couldn't afford the tuition.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely knew that I had to get a scholarship to continue. So definitely supporting the move to get donors, especially for those in the final year that has a dream to become a UWI graduate as well, to give their support. Actually, I'm also looking at within the next 5 years to actually be donating a scholarship as well.
Excellent.
To engineering.
That's what they want to hear, Angela. That's what you want to hear.
Absolutely. I'm so inspired. I'm donating again today. Okay?
Excellent. There you go. There you go. Joel has drawn.
But first, George, we got to ask you, was it takeover or ether, since you brought it up?
Take over, and I'll break it down. You agree with me, though?
No.
We're going to have a conversation on the sidelines, Missy, because I can't understand a woman of your intelligence and your knowledge believes Ether was the better song. We're going to take another feature from another recipient right now. And as I said, I hope you're paying attention to the information on the screen about how you can donate. It's all about donation. The American Foundation for the University of the West Indies needs your support if you're to have more success stories like Joel, like Dr. Vifus, like Ms. Jones you heard from earlier, and like the youngster you're going to hear from now.
Hi, my name is Courtney Burgess, and I am a 20-year-old second-year student majoring in accounting and economics at the University of the West Indies, Mona. My mother is the only one who earns income for our household. In my first year, we just really tried to pull from everywhere possible, and you know, it worked out for a while, and we had some difficulties, some major difficulties, but you know, we were able to pull through with some loans, with some grants around the place, as well as some family assistance, and I had a job at the time. I had a job working on campus. I found peace in the fact that I know that God has never given us anything more than we can bear. So whatever it is that we are faced with, or whatever it is I am faced with, that I am able to overcome it, because you know, I'm already built in basically with the capacity to tackle any situation. So that's been keeping me going, honestly. I really didn't want to apply this year. I applied in first year to a few, and I didn't get through to any, and I was feeling super discouraged, and I just felt as if, you know, I had bared out my soul on the other ones, and you know, they just read it and left it alone. But this year I didn't want to do it, and I had been encouraged by a friend, and I did it. And the thing is, I really even thought that it didn't go through. I thought that the time period had passed already for the results to be, for the awardees to be notified, and so I just had put it behind me, and I was just trying to find out, you know, what else could I possibly do. And I got the call, and I was just it was amazing, because not long before you had recently notified us saying that, hey, if you don't pay fees, you won't be permitted to complete the exam or sit the exam or whatever. And I was just, you know, I was out, and I didn't know what to do, and they had called me right in the nick of time, and I was honored. I have no words. I have no words. It was right in the nick of time. It's only because of his kindness. Mr. Kevin Hendrickson, that's the name of the scholarship that I received, and it's honestly only because of his kindness that I am able to be so confident looking forward onto my second semester, so, and not to have to be worrying about school fees and stuff like that, to actually focus on my education. And so I am without words, I'm without words, honestly, beyond grateful. It seems like a mountain, so for your donation to come in, it feels like a form of hope, basically. Something to say that, you know, we can start from here, or, you know, somebody else believes in us to get where we need to be. My hopes and dreams to be on the other side of something like this, to be the one being able to donate to a student who wouldn't have known where it would have come from otherwise, to be able to build for my next generation, stuff like that. That's what I want to achieve, to be a developer. I've taken up new hobbies. I've started to build a little community online. I started a food community, basically a foodie community online, and it's been teaching me discipline because I have to be consistent with my posts. It's been teaching me how to write better, basically, and a lot of other things like engagement and that type of stuff, which is going to be very crucial for me when I decide to enter the business world or, to start my own ventures. So I've been learning and picking up on those skills through something that I love, which is eating and cooking.
Leon.
Hi, everyone.
Leon.
It's time for the annual Ask.
Say, me know.
That we can see ourselves through, particularly with the education of our children. We need all the help we can get. And I hope this year you will see to it that we are providing a wonderful education for our young people. Here's my idea. How about $1? $1 from each member of the Caribbean community. The CARICOM community has over 18 million people. In Quebec, there are 100,000 of us. In Ontario, 350,000. If each one of us gave $1, I think we would be able to form the type of seed money where we don't have to come to you every single year, because we are now creating the type of foundational funds that will see us through. The United States, over 18 million people from the Caribbean are here. England, over 500,000. There's much more than that. But what do you think? Can you send $1 to AFUWI on behalf of our kids? And for those of you who have in the past given so generously, you're our angels, and we thank you so much. And we hope you'll continue to do so. I keep my fingers crossed, and I thank you.
Yes, indeed, a heartfelt pledge made there by one of the patrons of the event. The fact is, I keep repeating this quote because I think this quote says a lot. It's by the British wartime Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill, who said, "There can be no greater investment than putting milk into babies." And it is not just about babies and milk. Of course, milk helps babies develop. It's about at every stage of the growth phase in life, which is until life ends. You have to be investing. You have to be feeding the body for it to develop. And in the case of a student, you have to be funding that educational program for the program to be complete and for the student to emerge on the other side, to be able to contribute to society, to build generational wealth, and to give back to the program that they benefited from, so the cycle can continue. We have two new guests. Well, I have two new guests on set with me, and I have another guest on Zoom. To the far side of the screen, O'Shane Langley. He is a financial auditor, and the man in the center needs no introduction. He is Dr. Oliver Samuel, not doctor. Right, Oliver is not doctor, it's doctor.
It's a doctor, hey, Dr. Bud.
Dr. Bud. The cultural icon himself. Let's start with the student, though, Dr. Samuels. O'Shane, tell us about your story.
All right, so from a family of 8, right, first to attend university. So currently a senior auditor at PricewaterhouseCoopers, right, where I'm responsible for supervising different audit engagements. I completed my undergraduate degree in 2016 with the help of AFUWI, right, so special thanks to AFUWI and the Door Restaurant. I went on to completing a master's degree, right, in accounting, and then in 2020, that's last year, I completed my CPA, which is an American accounting exam.
I was speaking to a source who I shall not name, who told me a very interesting story about you and your adventure in Chicago for some training. Tell us about that and about the weather.
It was extremely cool. Ernst & Young, that's an auditing firm, gave me the opportunity to travel to Chicago to get experience in tax. That's in 2017.
That's U.S. tax, the U.S.
US
tax system,
tax,
which
yes.
is the most complex in the world, they say.
Exactly, exactly. So I did a bit of individual tax return, corporations, trust funds, and stuff like that. And then prior to that, in 2016, they also gave me the opportunity to attend, well, to go to Trinidad and Tobago to get experience in tax and audit also.
Yeah. So, but you're not finished, O'Shane. Tell me about the cold. What kind of clothes did you carry with you? What were you expecting from the weather? And what did you get?
To be honest, I went with one jacket.
One jacket?
One
Was
jacket.
it a thick jacket?
Very thick.
Okay,
yes.
all right, one
Yes,
jacket. Mhm.
One jacket. And then it wasn't helping.
What was the temperature like when you got there?
I think it was below zero.
Below zero?
Below zero. But the thing is, Chicago, it's windy.
Yes.
So that makes it 10 times worse.
Yes.
The wind.
George, I believe that somebody did grudge him to get the little scholarship because somebody could have a kid so finna tell the young man say he can't go in the condition
With one
with
jacket?
one jacket.
I'll tell you a quick story, Dr. Samuels and O'Shane. In February last year, I went to Chicago for the first time. I went for the NBA All-Star Weekend. Yeah, so of course Chicago Bulls Stadium and Michael Jordan and all of the big NBA superstars. So my hotel, Sir Oliver, was on the bank of the river, storing a nice set. So of course, you know, in the mornings the river would freeze over. And then the breeze would pick up the cold off the river and box it straight in. So it was minus 18 degrees Celsius on Valentine's Day in Chicago last year. It was so cold, O'Shane, so cold, Dr. Samuels, that there was a public advisory on the TV informing persons that the schools would have been closed for the day. Remember, this is indoor schools, you know, with heating and everything. The place so cold that them says, people, picnic, stay home. It was too cold. So that was in Chicago that O'Shane took one jacket, one dedicated jacket to go to.
I eventually had to purchase,
yes, to get some supplies.
Yes, and thermal wear, something to wear.
You never just like the Eskimo like Oliver did in that famous skit so many years ago.
Me did over prepare.
With ear muffin, eh?
I was under.
Dr. Samuels, tell us about your involvement with this. I mean, you have been a part of so many great causes. There is a huge demand on your time. Why is it that you've chosen to partner with AFUWI in this way?
Because although I have never gone, I've been to the university, I've worked at the university.
Yes.
But me know what it is as a student to be hungry. Me know what it is as a student to be in need. Me know what it is as a student to put cardboard in your shoes and still go down to school. You know, and when Anne-Marie called and asked me, I never even hesitated. I said, Anne-Marie, yes, anything for the University of the West Indies. Plus, in this area now, them decide to honor me with the honorary doctorate.
Sure.
You see, some say, well, me a ton thanks.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
me a ton thanks, and me a go tell them, me a go make them know, say, me still a part of this community.
Absolutely
you know?
so.
But it is really very necessary that we support our students. And the Caribbean, I was just doing something and I said, the University of the West Indies and the University of Jamaica is the University of the West Indies, and that we coming together as one force can be a fantastic thing, you know, and therefore we must support our students, especially those who have struggled for 3 years or 2 years, and the last year now, them have to go tell them, say, well, we have to hold on a degree because and say, they look at something round at the back, they never did address.
Yes.
I don't need to address it before no get it.
Yes.
That time some of them have walked away at pandemic, you know, them only.
Yes.
So it is very important, and as I listened to O'Shane and some of the persons that spoke earlier, I should sincerely hope that they remember that there's an association named AFUWI.
Yes.
And that them feel it. Where they say, spell and bound and compound.
Yep.
To make sure, say, annually, they make for them contribution too. Because it was us as people where we used to sell the one cow, and we send one picnic to England, and we expect that one picnic to return, to stay up there, work, to send the one with them left that is supposed to go in a high school, to support that one day, and that one day.
Each one help one.
Each one help one. It's a tradition where we use to, but some of us get so sophisticated, we forgot where we are come from. You understand? But I should sincerely hope that the students who have benefited, I don't call them beneficiary.
Yes, sir.
The beneficiary of AFUWI. Me a beg or no forget AFUWI, right? No bother this get up because I get the degree and go along with and in our success and do not remember, because there are others who are behind you and they are going to need your help, and them need your help now. So Caribbean community people, me die have to beg for the pick me them, so not try give them the things where they want support for completion of their education.
Excellent, excellent. Nobody could have said it better, and it's not a bush doctor, and it's a proper doctor. To Oliver Samuels. Leon Dawson is online. He's on Zoom. Leon, how are you? Are you hearing us loud and clear?
Yes, Mr. Davis, I am. Good morning, colleagues, to those in Belize, and good afternoon to those in the wider Caribbean.
Excellent. I spent a lot of time, Leon, working with a countrywoman of yours, Kalila. Well, she was Kalila Enriquez not so long ago. She's now Kalila Reynolds, a proper radio host in Jamaica. She's an entrepreneur and running her own business. So the Belizean influence here in Jamaica is strong. Tell us about your journey in education, Leon. You know, what are some of the difficulties that you've encountered en route to completing your degree program?
Sure, no problem, Mr. Davis. So, after I left college, my mom said that she can't afford to send me further. So I found a new open campus, which enabled me to work and complete my education. So I started to work and paved my way slowly but surely. I've always been interested in youth leadership and conservation. So I worked in conservation. And also I was a part of the University of the Open Campus Guild of Students. Since I started in 2018, I was on the guild as the chairman for the Open Campus Belize Guild. And I went on the regional guild since the Open Campus as a regional guild that encompassed the US 17, which is a 17 Caribbean country to the Caribbean. Yeah. So I became the Guild Communications and Public Relations Officer in 2018, 2019. The Guild Vice President in 2019-2020, and the Guild President in 2020-2021. And throughout my journey, it has always been a hard-working journey since I was a full-time student, full-time worker, and also serving my Guild of Students. While doing my case, I would say, is a special case. It went from a giving to being given.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because while working in my full-time job, I would always be on part of my organization, assisting students who need assistance to go through high school and so forth. On the guild, I was also in charge of various guild programs, assisting these students who are in need. And then come March 2020, COVID-19 came. I lost my job, and I was the only one paying for my education. I lost my job, and while I lost my job, I was still volunteering at my organization, so I still had a small source of income. So that carried me toward my last academic, but it was really carrying. I had all these stress and worries, but I was up to be the president. So I know I had my students to represent me. I would just these worries and focus on my students. I know last year we needed the guild more than anything else due to COVID-19. You were experiencing something that I was experiencing. Then we had the volcanic eruption in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So my team, we were trying to assist students as possible. And while assisting students, I could relate to them because I knew what they were going through. Because myself, going through that since I lost my job. Coming on to May, the end of May, I began looking for jobs, sending out my resume and so forth. No at all because the economy right now is just a mess due to COVID. We're in constant curfew, lockdown, and so forth. So not many new jobs are open. Moving on to the start of this academic year, I start to worry about will I be able to complete my degree. This is my final academic year, and I really want to finish the year, so I was will I get the fund to finish my degree. And I only have a few courses left, and Miss Hooper reached out this week. We spoke on the phone. I had no idea it was a scholarship interview until when I got the email and I was on lost for words. I read about 15 times and just in disbelief.
Yeah.
But I was so grateful. Like a couple of years back, or last year I would say I would get phone calls from students when we give them Bill Grant, expressing their thinking, and to be at the other end, expressing my thinking.
Yes.
Being assisted.
Yes.
The way how I assisted students before, it was an amazing
tremendous feeling to be on the receiving end. I can feel that from here, Leon. I can feel that feeling from here.
Amount of gratitude is there.
Yeah, absolutely so. Stay where you are. We're going to take this feature, testimony again from another recipient of the scholarship, a scholarship opportunity provided by the association, the American Foundation rather, for the University of the West Indies. We've had several of those so far. You've heard a real testimony from Leon Dawson there, who's in Belize, talking about how he went from providing opportunities for people to getting assistance himself. Dr. Oliver Samuels has made an impassioned plea for assistance. Joel Dunn has said that he is now going to make sure that he contributes to those coming after him. Oliver said each one help one. Yeah, that's what he's doing. And Shane Langley, I'm sure, is going to say the same thing as he establishes himself as among the finest auditors in this part of the world. Let's take this, and then there'll be some entertainment on the other end as we push through with Kitchen Table Talk 2021. We're trying to encourage you, commit funds, even $1, right, Oliver?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be 100, even $1.
$1.
Even $1.
A dollar goes a long way in this endeavor, yeah?
Yeah, man. All right, let's take this feature and come back.
Hello everyone, my name is Shaniel Salmon, a 2019 graduate of the UWI Mona West Indies. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Entrepreneurship and Marketing. I'm a recipient of the Door Restaurant Scholarship through the American Foundation of the University of the West Indies. When I received my scholarship at UWI, it changed the trajectory of my life totally. I was in second year, going into my second semester, and at that time I was literally barred from doing classes. So I'd owed UWI money for my tuition, couldn't register for courses. I was really confused. I'd just come back from Christmas with my family in Montego Bay, in Kingston, and I couldn't attend classes because if you're not registered, then it doesn't really make sense you attend stuff like that. I remember feeling really just hopeless, like you were the good student who did everything right, academically involved and everything like that, but yet I was still here struggling to make it through university.
I had just scraped the little money that I had and literally had like 2,000 Jamaican dollars left in my book. I remember when she was going back from that Christmas term, and I said, okay, this is all I have left, and you're going to use it to pay what you can pay, knowing that we were still owing. I went to school where I worked at the Montego Bay High School for Girls, and I was there in my department, and I prayed to God on the Monday and the Tuesday, and I was crying because I literally had no money left. And I was saying, God, she started the journey, and I want you to allow her to finish this journey.
I remember reaching out to one of my club advisors, letting her know my situation. I'm barred, I owe UWI, and I can't go to classes. And I remember her saying, Shaniel, send me a letter, put in your situation, and let me see if I could find any help throughout the university network. It was the Wednesday that I sent in the letter. I always remember the exact date. And the Friday, I did some little side gigs to help out with my, lunch money and things like that, because I needed bus fare. I wasn't staying on campus. I stayed with a family member, and I traveled back and forth. So I was on one of those, and I got the call.
She called me, Mom, I got a scholarship. I got the scholarship. I got the scholarship and my phone flew out of my hand. Because I was here testifying that God, I just spoke to you on Monday and Tuesday, crying, and today is Friday, and she got the scholarship. So I was saying to myself, this is God. Look at God working. Look at God.
I started to be able to focus more on school itself and not have to think that, you know, how tuition is going to pay. Call mommy every 5 seconds. The impact was tremendous on my life. This foundation is doing major work in Jamaica for youngsters and allowing them to really realize themselves and to achieve far beyond what they even thought they could. I have so much gratitude in my heart, so much. When I think about the place I was when this scholarship came into my life, I cry about it sometimes still. I have so much gratitude to the Door Restaurant in New York, to the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies, to Mrs. Hunter, to Miss Grant, just everybody, all the donors. The impact is far-reaching. Investing in these youngsters is not just even the financial help that you're giving them, but it goes socially, it goes emotionally, and truly, you're really helping Jamaica.
Yes. Sometimes, you know, you do some works, and as time passes, you realize how important a song can be. Now, I wrote the song out of personal experience, and I'm seeing now how it's connecting with so many people. I'm even getting a lot of requests lately to sing the song. And today, in particular, when you listen to the lyrics, you realize how fitting it is to sing here today. It's called You're the Greatest, and One Not Dead, No Dash It Way. Mr. Music, please play. Them say one not dead, not dash it where you still alive, you no gone nowhere. Not because you're poor and you are suffer. No make nobody keep you down in the gutter. Remember you not gone, you still there out. As long as there is life, things can turn around. Get up on your feet and fight your struggle. Got to believe you can overcome your troubles. Nobody can shatter your dreams. Nobody can fail you. Inside yourself, try to find a hero with a vision of a brighter tomorrow. Nobody can shatter your dreams. Nobody can stop you. Tell yourself you're gonna be the greatest, like a warrior, solid and fearless. Fearless and do more. Prayer answers everything and even opens doors. It's your life and yours only. Sometimes get rocky and they leave you lonely. You are the author of your life story. Make sure your ending is all filled with glory. Don't worry about failure, you've got work to do. And nobody in the world can stop you. Nobody can shatter your dreams. Nobody can fail you. Inside yourself, try to find a hero with a vision of a brighter tomorrow. Nobody can shatter your dreams. Nobody can stop you. Tell yourself you're gonna be the greatest, like a warrior, solid and fearless. Even in your darkest days, hold your meds, find some time to pray. Never let the troubles overcome you. Even when people try to shun you, some gonna say things about you, and to know they've got nothing good to say. Kill them with your smile, that's the greatest. Then do your best and bury them with success. Nobody can shatter your dreams. Nobody can fail you. Inside yourself, try to be a hero with a vision of us. Nobody can shatter your dreams. Nobody can stop you. Tell yourself you're gonna be the greatest, like a warrior, solid and fearless. Nobody can shatter your dreams. Nobody can fail you. Inside yourself, trying to be a hero with the vision of the brighter tomorrow. Nobody, yeah, nobody, nobody can shatter your myself trying to find a hero with the vision of a brighter tomorrow. Nobody, 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 no, nobody, 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 yeah. Nobody can shatter your dreams.
We are very fortunate to be living at a time when higher education no longer means a white-collar job, where universities support children, young people, with all sorts of desires and hopes for their lives. There are so many different kinds of occupations that now exist, not just being a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. If that were the case, I certainly wouldn't be who I am and what I have done all of my life. I grew up in a family in Trinidad on Black Street, walking from 10 Black Street all the way to San Fernando Government School. And as I walked back and forth, I certainly had dreams of being more than I was. Dreams that I wasn't even aware of what there was to be, but I just knew that there was more to be in the world. Fortunately, in my family, I grew up with an aunt who was actually the head librarian of at the Institute of International Relations at the University of the West Indies. That's a mouthful. But she made sure that I went to the library every Saturday for as long as I could remember. I think by the time I could walk, I was borrowing books with her. So that in my family, it was instilled that an education was paramount. This was the way in which we became the things that we could barely envision or imagine. And so I'm here to say to you that we are here to support the young people, especially in the West Indies and the Caribbean, because on the world stage, we are not competing at our highest. There is a real lag between the numbers that are being produced in the world and what's coming out of the Caribbean, and we need to change that. And the ways in which we do that is through education. And the University of the West Indies is at the forefront of this drive to bring our children to the stage, to be absolute players and competitors on the world stage, not just in white-collar occupations, but as artists and craftsmen and vocational workers. Fortunately, this university, the University of the West Indies, is keeping up with the times, so that there are so many different ways and courses and roads in which our children can get the help and the education that they need to pursue their dreams. I invite you to bring your support, lend your time, your energy, and your finances to support these young people, especially in these times. COVID has hit every single area, and it is hit hardest in the third world, and it is certainly hit hardest with young people who are struggling to finish their education, to finish their terms at universities. This is why we've come together this evening, to raise money to help these young people. It is such a worthy cause. I'm a Juilliard graduate. I came all the way from 10 Black Street in San Fernando, Trinidad, to graduate from one of the most prestigious universities in the world. I didn't do that alone. I got help. I was a product of an extraordinary scholarship program that took me all the way through those 4 years, those 6 years of education. That is what I'm talking about. That is what I'm calling all of you to support, because I'm the poster child of that. I got help. We now need to reach back and help those children, because it is a cliche, but it's a cliche that's true. They are our future. And more than ever, we're seeing in these times, innovative thinking, thinking outside the box. That is the future. It isn't just about white-collar work. It's about innovation. Let's support innovation in our children. Thank you so much. It's my honor to be fully supportive of the University of the West Indies. Thank you again.
Message there from Lorraine Toussaint, thanking her for her kind words. You know, it is an honor to be a part of something that is looking to make the kind of investments that the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies has made over time, over the last 10 years, 500 plus scholarships provided, $7.5 million worth of scholarships. It is nothing short of tremendous, and we certainly hope that you will find it in your good conscience to give, to support, to have more of these success stories and more of these strong testimonies we've heard from the beneficiaries who've spoken during the broadcast so far. You heard a cracking song from Richie Stevens moments ago, and fret not, there's more to come from the outstanding Jamaican. Angela Yee is back with us. Shane Langley also remains with us. Angela, well, Leon is on Zoom. Angela, I want to ask, during your time at Wesleyan College, correct? Can you recall any of your colleagues at the time at college who were doing well and then you didn't see them when you were finishing? It's almost like they disappeared, and you may have come across them later in life and they said, well, Angela, I had to drop out because I didn't have the help. Is there any such story you can relate of persons who you know didn't finish either the program you were a part of or persons pursuing other programs but were with you in university at the time?
There were definitely students who had to leave and then did come back later on because of financial hardships, because of having to take care of family members. And even for myself at Wesleyan, I ended up having to work a full-time job while I was in school in order to be able to pay for everything that I needed to. And on top of that, have to pay back for my financial aid. So even after school, it's still a bit of something that you have to think about, paying back those loans. And that took me like 12 years to be able to do that. So that's not easy either when you're trying to pay rent, pay for food, pay back those loans. So scholarships are so important. And I understand how it can be difficult when you have to study, when you have exams, when you have papers due, but you also have to work. And so I know that's a lot too.
You made a very important point at the top of this program, Angela, when you said one of the things you like about the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies, and it's not because you're a member of the Board of Governors, was that unlike other similar facilities, let's call it a facility, where it's almost as if you're putting your money in a black hole. You don't know where your money is going to go, and then you hear that, oh, there's a scandal, and because this manager or that director made off with millions of dollars. You can almost see where your investment going, where the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies is concerned. And that is why I'm sure you'd use that to encourage people to give, because it's a worthy cause and you can prove that it's a worthy cause.
Right, when I first found out about it, that's what struck me the most, was going to the gala and seeing the students that were able to fly out there, some of them their first time coming to New York, and talk about how the scholarship affected them. And we saw that today. I know we all were getting a little teary-eyed in here, just even watching the students talk about their journeys. And so that's important to me. And even for myself, I know the students who got the scholarships from the money that I donated. And so I'm able to see them. I'm able to feel proud, like, oh, look, he just graduated with honors last year. And that means a lot. They even found a student for me from Montserrat, the island where my mom is from, and that student, and they had to go through a lot to find a student. But that means a lot to me, too, to be able to help a student from Montserrat to be able to get a scholarship for UWI.
O'Shane, your journey so far, nowhere near being completed. You are in a very exciting phase of your development. I don't know if you know much about marketing concepts. I mean, you're a bright, well-read man. It's very likely you do. In marketing, Angela and O'Shane, there are the product life cycle has 4 main stages. So you have introduction when the product is introduced. So like this iPad mini right here, it's introduced. So you introduce the product, then the product grows, then the product matures, then the product declines. Everybody who's selling a product wants a product to stay in the growth phase as long as possible, because the moment you leave the growth phase, you go into maturity. And the only place after maturity is decline. I say that to say that O'Shane Langley is still very much in the early phase of the growth phase of his career. And I just want you to articulate to the viewers just how important the AFUWI support has been for you being where you are now, poised for even greater things.
So with the AFUWI scholarship, I've been able to achieve things that I didn't thought were possible, right? I started out UWI with just the help of mom and dad, right? And I remember they used their last savings to pay for university. Didn't know how I was going to start the second year, right? So I applied for a student loan. And then in the second year, I applied for AFUWI scholarship and I was successful, right? And I think that I know that eased a lot of burden off their shoulders, right? Because we were struggling, right? There are farmers, drought or heavy rain could wipe out all their crops. So I struggled and I had to work 30. It wasn't a full-time job. It was part-time, but I was working like 30 plus hours per week, having to study also. And
that's a full-time job.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I was working at New Start 93 FM as a technical operator.
Yes.
Right, so I was there working and doing well in school. Got mostly A's. Yeah, don't think I get any B's, but had to keep my GPA up because I know that was the only way. Applying for a next scholarship next year would make it a bit easier with good grades. And then I was honestly doing it for mommy, right? And that because she fell out of school at age 14, right? And even in high school, everyone thought I was rich because I was probably the only kid with all the books.
Yes.
And I was probably the poorest person in the class, but
there
mommy made all the sacrifice to ensure that I got all the books that I needed. So because of that, going through university was difficult, but I had to make the sacrifice. I mean, I stayed up late or worked odd hours, just to help her. And now, I must say that I'm seeing some benefits, right? Being able to complete my degree, first family member, right, to attend university. A big accomplishment for me. Also, went on to complete the master's, as I said earlier, then the CPA exams, right? And then now I have a few offers on the table, right? One from USA, auditing firm in USA, and also one from Bahamas.
Wow.
And I have a few offers locally, right? So
Hey.
this was all made possible because of the help I received from AFUWI, right? And by extension, the Door Restaurant. So special thanks to Chris and Joan for the assistance that they provided.
Yeah. Leon Dawson, are you still with us? The man in Belize, are you still hearing us, Leon?
Yes, sir, I am.
I just wanted to, we don't have much time in this segment, but I have to come to you for some testimony about, you spoke of your work to assist others or to help others access assistance, and then you found yourself on the other side benefiting from assistance yourself. Jimmy Cliff has a song, I Can See Clearly Now. Is it that you could have seen clearly from the point of getting this AFUWI scholarship in hand?
If I could have seen that of getting the scholarship before, is that what you're asking?
No. I was asking if you could see clearly after getting the scholarship.
Oh, definitely. Like I've said before, when like this last academic year, when people would ask, "Are you finishing your degree this year?" I would say yes, but behind my, in my mind, it's hesitant because I wasn't sure. But now I know I can say yes proudly because I know that AFUWI has ensured that I will finish my degree this year because everything is complete with people for. So I can say that I can learn now the finishing line of my undergraduate degree and what I want to do afterwards in terms of furthering my education.
Excellent. Absolutely wonderful. All right. Richie Stevens has something else for the viewers. The man with the golden voice. Come true.
Yes, man. I just want to say how great it is to be here. I want to welcome once again to our shores, it's Angela E. To all the special guests, all the people in the room, welcome. Remember now to stay in the presence. Don't worry about the past. Don't stress about the future. Stay in the presence. A song like this that talks about the whole thing. Live your life. Could you turn up the music a little more, please? Nobody can tell you what tomorrow brings. So live your life today. No one's really sure they're gonna see tomorrow. Don't know what's around the way. Living forever is everyone's dream. Only salvation is here to stay. If you're gonna take it to the limit, don't fake it, just make it the best life can be. Whoa, whoa. your best shot and don't you stop. Give all you've got, just do your thing and live your life. And when you're tired of working, call your friends and find some time to play. You must remember to live your life and don't let no one take it away. Nobody can tell you what tomorrow brings, so live your life today. No one's really sure they're gonna see tomorrow. Don't know what's around the way. Living forever is everyone's dream. Only salvation is here to stay. If you're gonna take it to the limit, don't fake it, just make it the best life can be. Whoa, 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 whoa. Remember, there's no time like now, so don't you let it slip away. There is no promises, no guarantee, not for another day. Nobody can tell you what tomorrow brings, so live your life today. No one's really sure they're gonna see tomorrow. Don't know what's around the way. Living forever is everyone's dream. Only salvation is here to stay. If you're gonna take it to the limit, don't fake it, just make it the best that life can be. Whoa, 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 whoa. Live your life, live your life, live your life. Don't wait until tomorrow, just live your life, live your life, live your life. Don't wait until another day. Whoa, whoa. Live your life today. Don't wait until tomorrow.
Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. We are the audience. Let's clap the man. Yeah.
I don't know that school can teach that, but
yeah. Don't navel gaze. Live your life in the moment. All right, we're almost at the end, but we have a very important thing to do before we go. We have a call to action by two of our beneficiaries under the American Foundation for the University of the West Indies Scholarship Program. Shane Langley and Leon Dawson will make that call to action. Each man will do so. In 30 seconds, Shane, the floor is yours.
All right, so to all donors and potential donors, I would like to thank you for your consideration and encourage you to continue to give, right? You have made a tremendous impact on our lives as students at the University of the West Indies. You have allowed us to achieve things that we thought weren't possible. So special thanks to you and the team, and continue to assist us as we press forward.
Very well. Leon Dawson, the floor is yours, my friend. Your call to action from over there in Belize.
Thank you very much, sir. To our viewers, I implore you all to make a donation if you can. Donating to AFUWI is more than making a donation, it's about making a difference. One small donation can have a monumental impact on students like myself, not only on students, but I dare say the Caribbean. So donate today and make a difference tomorrow.
Excellent, thank you very much. There is time enough on the clock for Angela Yee to say something. Angela, you know a lot of influential people, know and respect you. What can you tell them about AFUWI and why they should donate?
AFUWI really does the work, and that's what's really important to me, to be able to see the fruits of the money that you are donating. And I also want to encourage people, even if you're not from the Caribbean or you don't have any family at UWI, you can still donate, because a lot of people come on vacation here all over the Caribbean and y'all enjoy that. So make sure you also give back and donate.
Excellent. If it's even $1, all right? The American Foundation for the University of the West Indies exists to assist at-risk students at the University of the West Indies. They've done a lot of good. They can do even more with your strong support. That's it for Kitchen Table Talk 2021, the second annual edition. We hope that next year, by the time we gather again around the kitchen table, Angela, it's a real kitchen table this time, and we're probably somewhere in New York because the pandemic would have been under control.
Oh, listen, we got you when you come to New York, okay?
There you go, there you go. All right, O'Shane, thank you very much. Leon, thank you very much. And to all of the recipients who spoke here today, thank you for speaking, and thank you for putting yourself in a position to give back to the program, the foundation that assisted your development and the advancement of your progressive agenda. That's it for us here.